I recently wrote an article about choosing a niche, and I think that could be a challenge. There's a lot of things that we're told to do. There's a lot of great resources out there. Today, I want to share with you kind of how I went about it because I didn't really go about it the traditional way. When I was starting this business that I have now, it was more about what does my soul want to do in this moment in time. So this is all the way back in 2012. I was healing from a bunch of things that happened in my life, and I wanted to do something I felt moved to do. So I started thinking about what that would be. And I surveyed my life for the moments where I felt the most elevated, and it was always about elevating somebody else. And so the exploration was, how do I make a business about that? And then, what is it that I'm actually going to do that will make a contribution? That was the next exploration for me. And when I figured that out, then it was, how would I go about that? And when I figured that out, the next exploration was, who do I want to serve? And I was exploring the paths that you could take pursuing individuals, right? Working with individual executives, or the idea of what if you worked within an organization. And for me, what appealed to me more was the path of working within an organization. I had thought a lot about how the places I had been employed brought in occasionally resources that taught us more about ourselves and each other, but then it would always die on the vine. And I thought, what if somebody actually had a more long-term engagement that created positive outcome, better culture within an organization? That appealed to me. So that's the direction I took. But that required me to listen inward and then to align with my strategic mind. So once I was very clear on, okay, I want to go the path of the corporate world, how do I narrow that down? What is the industry? I chose the industry I had served in for 15 years, commercial insurance. It was a business I knew. I had been in multiple levels of the business, from support to sales to leadership. And for me, that felt like the right strategic path. But then, even with that, I work for a national brokerage firm, and they're kind of the big players. Well, they don't need people like me. Right. So I realized I can't really go that route because it's only going to be a true segment in the market that fits for me based on what I was trying to do, which I was figuring out as I went. And I came to the conclusion that not super small, a little bit above that, where there's enough revenue to be able to actually pay me, but also not so big that they don't need me because they have a department for that. And when I figured that out, I then started just having conversation with people and going to lunch and going to coffee and listening to what was happening in their world. And that's when I kind of honed in on, okay, I can help here. That's how I went about it. It isn't the way to go about it. It is a way to go about it. What I want to encourage you to do is to craft the path, incorporating your intuition and listening to what your soul wants to say, but also using your intelligence at the same time. So one without the other is not a complete decision. It's not an informed decision in my experience. You want both. So listen in and then think strategically. Okay, if this is where I want to go, what's the most logical path for that? What does that look like? And then begin to have conversations. And I think that you'll find within that the path you want to go down. That's it for today.